Hi guys, so the first card from the Medicine Heart Oracle starts with the Medicine Circle, which is number 1 in the deck, and it starts on page 44. So if 44 means anything to you, you guys know it does to me. And I'm just going to read the first little inscription that talks about what the message is from the card. Medicine Circle protects you, holds you safe within sacred healing space. Within the circle, you can become clear within your own heart and mind, and then ask the universe for signs and support. There's guidance for you to help you resolve a matter of concern and discover a divine pathway meant for you. The universe knows what you need and is leading you there even now. Enter fully into your sacred healing journey, and you will recognize the gift, the guidance, and the way. So for me, creating that sacred space within yourself. Within certain cultures, the sacred circle is where you convene. It's where people gather to create that sacred space within each other. And this talks about for inner healing and for your journey, whether that be something you're trying to create in the physical world or for your life, whether it be emotionally, situation, whatever the situation happens to be, it's deeply spiritual and everything is at its core. And at our core, we are spiritual. A lot of what I believe is it all happens within inside of you, right? It's kind of like, if you ever watch Transformers and they have the energon cubes or whatever, and then that's in their heart kind of. But anyway, that's kind of if you think about it, that's what it makes me feel. I don't know why that image came up, if that means anything to anybody. It's kind of like that, setting that sacred space within yourself. That's why a lot of times doing certain things, when people do rituals and things like that, a lot of times it's to reinforce that feeling, to reinforce that knowledge within yourself. It's kind of like when people meditate, we're taking that time to go within ourselves, right? We're taking that time to have that, not necessarily quiet time, but that sacred space within yourself. We do get signs along the way. It talks about, asking your guides and asking spirit for signs. A lot of that is inner knowing. So when you recognize something, it clicks something inside of you spiritually, or inner deep knowledge that it brings out. So it kind of puts the puzzle pieces together. I want to read another paragraph that's in the guidebook. I don't usually do the guidebooks, but I feel like this one is important. It is what she made the whole artwork on the deck for. It is a beautiful card. It's one of my favorites. I like it because the whole deck is about tapping into your inner divine feminine shamanism, right? Your deep inner spiritual self. And if you look at her, this is a very wise person. The darkness on her fingers represents, I believe, if I'm wrong, somebody tell me, but I believe that means that you've touched darkness, right? So you've been there, you've done that, you have that sacred knowledge. You're not afraid to go deep either. A beautiful practice from the Pawnee Native American tradition draws the circle upon the earth with the toe as a symbolic recreation of the eagle's nest. The circle is recognized as the sanctuary for living things, just as the nest nurtures the eaglet. The circle is a call to sacred homecoming. Even the most spiritual, intrepid soul needs moments of restoration and rest to rally and replenish. Say that 10 times fast. The oracle is a divine call to return to the heart and to love therein, to remember who you are, your purpose, and your place, which is awesome because one of the cards I have says purpose. Free from the projections, expectations, judgments, or hopes and wishes of the world. So we have the 8 of Wands, which is fast-paced action. It's fast spirit. It's some type of energy is quickly coming in, and sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, so you might be a little overwhelmed. But we have the 2 of Cups underneath. The 2 of Cups is a conjoining, which I've had that recently in that spot too. It's a conjoining of energies, whether that be you tapping into your own divinity and the divinity of all, or that's you and another person, you and a creative aspect of something. It's something where we're merging, and we're merging spiritually, I feel, with the cups. And then in the area of what we need to work on, we have the 3 of Swords. The 3 of Swords can actually be a good thing. It can be using your head over your heart or your heart over your head and balancing that narrative. I think it's a Libra card. I'll have to look. I believe it is a Libra card. Balancing head and heart, and a lot of that is what you need to do when you need to heal. You need to stop the overthinking, but you have to also incorporate the lessons that you learned emotionally, because a lot of this is that we do is, balancing your thinking and your emotion. That's what drives us on the inside, right? Our mind and our heart. We also have the Four of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles, it can be good. It can be stability, saving for later, setting yourself in a stable mindset. But it can also be, if we want to look at it as something we need to improve, this is kind of like being, I don't want to say stingy, but it's almost like you're afraid to give your heart. So in this aspect of where we're at in these last couple cards, I would say that's what it is. I think it's being afraid to open your heart. We're encaging our heart. We're embracing our heart in a way where we don't want it to get broken, right? And a lot of times that's what happens when we overthink, when we're not balancing our mind and our heart. So I really feel like this is where we need to open our heart, open that heart space, open that sacred circle within, get that balance that we need. And my third row is always the resources you have around you, the energy that you could use, whether it be yours or somebody around you, or knowledge that you've gained, resources, understandings. And we have the Ace of Swords, an understanding, an aha moment, knowledge that we've gained, wisdom. And this is over the Six of Cups, which the Six of Cups can sometimes be nostalgia. It can be emotional things in the past. It can also be childhood too. So this can be things that you've learned through your journey. This is how I'm taking this. I'm taking this as, we know what good feels like. We know what right feels like, and through our past. Sometimes nostalgia doesn't have to be a bad or good thing. It's just what is. And we have knowledge through that to propel us into the next level, right? And then the last row is kind of like what my outcome is. So you have the Sun. The Sun is, happiness. It's what we all strive for. That's the happiest card in the tarot, they say. And underneath of that, you have the Knight of Pentacles. I feel like this is because it's either saying, all this has brought us to where we are. We're right at the edge of that. We are at the beginning where we're all that energy, but this is kind of explaining where we're at. The Knights in tarot represent going from the cardinal sign to the fixed sign, because it goes cardinal, fixed, mutable, because cardinal is that initiation. They are bringing in the action. They are your movement. Right? They're the initiation. They're initiating something, right? And then the fixed signs are where they've kind of like got the understanding. They've kind of mastered that, whatever that is. And when you go into like the cardinal, fixed, and the mutable, it all has to do with the beginning of the certain seasons of the wheel. I'm thinking about doing a video about that this weekend. I'm not sure. Knight of Pentacles is astrologically is Aries to Taurus. So we're going from that action to that fixed understanding of spring, right? That's when spring is at its peak, right? I won't dive too deeply into that, but since we have the World card, and the World card represents all of the fixed signs, right? So that action into stability, that action into being comfortable where we are, right? That's where we are on this journey. And I feel like since this is a heart-centered thing, this is getting comfortable with kind of knowing where we are. We're stable in that. It's not unnerving, but this wheel continuously churns, right? So, but the Kings go from fixed into mutable. And I feel like mutable is that kind of teacher energy. It's like you're transmuting it. Okay, you figure this out, so you go on to the next one. And along the way, you're not only gathering that knowledge and understanding it in your core, but you're also able to kind of teach us and give this to others. And I feel like with the World, this is the end of one's part of that cycle. So we're really at a really beautiful stage where I feel like we're kind of mastering our emotions and our spiritual understanding within us. But I feel like this talks about cultivating that spiritual space so we can kind of get to that other understanding, being our own guide, being our own teacher. And then we get to the Herbal Astrology. And our first card is Ashwagandha, purpose, right? So I feel like this is kind of explaining to us like the purpose of why we go through those things, the purpose of us needing to create that spiritual circle, that medicine circle, that self-healing circle, and that understanding of spirit. And it talks about finding divine purpose, your dharma, finding the future self, receiving a divine gift. So that's where we nurture that. But anyway, so ashwagandha is one of those herbs that is considered an adaptogen. And that's kind of what we need to do, right? Like, so your north node of what your purpose is to master at this point. And I feel like since the moon's there, it's very watery, it's emotionally, it's spiritual. Come back to our inner wisdom and be able to teach it. And that brings me to the next card. And that is number 33, Arnica, the teacher. Loyalty, commitment, perseverance, teacher, companionship, community. And it is ruled by Saturn. But I feel like we're at a part in our path, and there's a lot of heart-centered stuff. So I think like a lot of times when we get along our path, like we're like, oh, I get it. Like we get the pieces and parts. Like we're like, oh yeah, I'm over that. But then deep down inside, are we really? And then we're always looking on the outside for something to kind of help us get through it, which is helpful. But at the same time, understanding that at the core, our energon cube inside is really what helps us transmute that, what helps us turn that experience and knowledge and pain and turn it, alchemist, that's been a huge thing lately, turning that into wisdom and medicine for not only you, but for others. I love you guys, and thank you so much for listening to me and making it this long. Take that time and cultivate your medicine heart. Take the time to look within and create your spiritual circle within. Okay? And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.